Hey there! For anybody wanting to know about my kit list for getting to the top of Africa, Kilimanjaro, here's the rundown. So the first thing you have to consider is your luggage on the way to Tanzania. So there's three main things that you're going to want to need. You're going to need a suitcase for the plane, getting all the way to Tanzania. So I took a pretty standard one on wheels. Allows you to get through the airport pretty easily, and also you're going to need that to store things at the accommodation. So as you head up the mountain, there's going to be things that you want to keep back at the accommodation, things like spare pair of clothes, and also the accommodation should have somewhere to store your luggage, and also valuables, things like passport, money, those sorts of things. The second thing you're going to need then is a duffel bag. I went with the RAB 120 litre duffel bag. It is bigger than the recommendation. Most recommendations are 70 to 80 litres, but I went for the bigger space, and you will be thankful for a bigger space duffel bag when the altitude kicks in and it's the 6th, 7th day, and things like zips on tents, zips on bags, getting everything packed in is such an effort. You will be thankful for not having to squeeze everything in. Also, it's easy to find things as well, so I would say go for a bigger duffel bag, as long as it stays within the weight. The weight's 15 kilograms, or mine's was, and it was 33 pounds. So as long as everything's within the weight, you can have a bigger duffel bag and more space you'll be thankful for. The next thing is your day pack. So I went with the RAB 20 litre. This is exceptionally small. I did actually get comments from some of the rest of my group of how small my day pack was, but for me, absolutely fantastic, no issues at all. The main thing is the more space you have, the more you're going to pack, the more you're going to take on your back every day. So I went with a 20 litre, and as we'll see later on what we actually put into that, it did fine. All you really need is your water, maybe the odd snack, extra layer, and a wee bit of space to take layers off. So yeah, don't need lots of space. The less you carry, the easier it's going to be. My 20 litre RAB, absolutely fantastic. A lot of the guide companies will say 35 litres. 20 litres did just fine for myself. Now, a few other bits and pieces then. You do want to make sure that you've got a cover, a rain cover for your day pack. Very, very important. We had 1 day of rain. It was actually hailstoning. So you want to make sure that everything is nice and dry on the outside. I also had a liner for the inside of my bag, and this one I think is Osprey. So again, very important for making sure everything is dry on the inside. From a duffel bag, I also got a liner as well. So this is a 100 litre liner. So I had that from a duffel bag. Again, just in case, the porters do carry your duffel bag, but if that was to get damaged in any way, maybe it fell on a rough rock, something like that. So it's a long way to go, and if your summit night gear is wet. So I took extra precaution, took a liner. The other thing I would recommend is these cubes, these packing cubes. So you'll see these just for vacations, holidays. So I use these in my duffel bag. Really, really handy to keep everything sectioned out. Things that you're not going to need until summit night, the things that you need for maybe hygiene, your snacks, keep them all nice and separate. It made life a lot easier, so would recommend those packing cubes as well. Final thing when it comes to luggage, I took 2 of these, just small locks. They're kind of the pin code ones. I just popped them on. I had one for the luggage that was back in the accommodation, again just peace of mind, and then I did pop one on my duffel bag as well, because sometimes you do get to a camp and your duffel bag has already been there for a period of time. Also, if you're out and about in the camp, going for food, etc., you're away from your duffel bag. So the camps are very busy. So again, it was just a peace of mind thing for me. I just knew that these were on my 2 main luggages, and I could relax and not have to worry about it. onto the big one, which is clothes. This is probably the one that everybody spends so much time on because we're thinking about layers, thinking about summit night, which we'll touch on a wee bit later. But on the 8-day Lemouche route, there's 5-6 days of hiking before we even get to summit night, so you got to be thinking about that as well. So these are the clothes for legs and top, really. So this was all of my layers. So pretty much my staple every day was my short sleeve t-shirts. So I did take 4 of those. No real brand really. I picked these up when I started hiking, and I've just gone back to them. So they're non-cotton, very, very good. I took 4 of them, 3 for hiking. My idea was it was 8 days, so I'd use 1 every 3 days. So then that would cover the 8 days was the idea. Also, I wanted 1 spare as well, so 1 t-shirt for inside my tent. So you got to think about what you're going to wear after the hiking day. You need clean clothes for your tent, especially if it's cold and it's been raining, which we had on one day. My hiking trousers, they are Columbia, so really, really good, really light. No issues with those. I didn't bring shorts. So I just had those, very, very light, every day. So there was no shorts in my my kit list. Underwear, these are Danish Endurance. I picked up these once upon a time, and they're brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. No issues, no rubbing, anything like that. So absolutely fantastic. So again, I had 4 of those, 1 pair of 3 days, and also 1 spare for my tent nice and dry. On the top then, I had 2 long sleeve tops with a hood. So with a hood, and these are smart wool. So they're really, really good. Have the hood. So the idea with these was, rather than just wearing a t-shirt, I was very conscious of the sun. So you want to cover up your arms, and again, legs. Again, I didn't take shorts. So you want to cover up your arms, make sure you don't get any sunburn. And also the hood meant that if it was a wee bit chilly, you've got a hood. But if it's really, really sunny, it's covering the ears and the neck. So I had two of those, which was great. On top of that then, I had 2 fleeces with me. So I had a light one. This is Smart Oil, just a light fleece, and then I had a heavier Rab fleece. So again, just a heavier one, and one fitted underneath the other one. So pretty much alternated between these based on how warm it was or how cold it was at night. So two different fleeces, one light, one heavier. So then when we got to the higher altitudes, I had some thermal layers. So we've got a long sleeve. These are Smart Roll as well. Long sleeve on the top, thermal layer. And then we had long-legged thermal layer for the bottom. So again, just if it got too cold, we've got some thermal layers on top of that. Also had a pair of fleece trousers. These were for tent sleeping in. These never left the tent, but I just knew we had a warm layer no matter what happened every day. And again, then with your clean t-shirt, clean underwear, fleece, and your other fleeces, then you've got you can stay nice and warm in your tent. So the only other layer is rain gear. So you do need to take some a rain layer and some rain gear. So this is a Rab raincoat. Really, really good. Nice and light. Fits down into day pack really, really well. And then rain trousers. Make sure you get ones with the zip at the bottom, just so you can pull them on. It started to rain halfway through our hiking day number 3, so you want to make sure that you can just pull them on. Elasticated waist, very good. These are Burgess, and absolutely fantastic for keeping dry. So you do need a rain layer for your day pack. So that pretty much is legs and top. That was all the layers. The only other layer we had on top of that, a down jacket. Also Rab, this one. And really the down jacket is for when it's really you know, too cold. So you can pop it on some at night, or when you're in the camp. So really, really good. I would recommend one with a hood. So make sure it has a hood on it. One thing you have to think of is when you're eating in the evening times, it is dark, the temperature does plummet. So when you're sitting around the tent, sitting around the camp, you know, in the mess tent all together, it is going to be really, really cold. And also in the morning time for breakfast, absolutely freezing until the sun comes up. So you need to make sure that you've got plenty of layers to keep warm, because when you're out hiking, everything takes care of itself because you're active, but there is a lot of sitting around. So you know, you want to make sure that you're keeping warm. So down jacket, you need that as a backup for when it's really, really cold. On to the extremities, shall we say. So in terms of hats, two different hats. One is a wide brim sun hat. You really need this for the sun. Depending on what part of the world you come from, but I come from a part of the world that skin goes up in flames. So you need to have a really good sun hat, wide over the ears, over everything else. Just to keep you right. The second hat you need is a good wool warm hat. Just, it's going to be really cold at night, some at night, etc. You need to have a good hat. So I also took a balaclava as well. It's just a smart wool balaclava. Really good, just goes around the face. Really important at Summit night. Summit night was really cold. The wind was coming very exposed. So this was really good, just for an extra layer. And then the other thing as well is a buff. So you really do need a buff of some description. I can't stress about the dust. From day 2 to 3, you will start be breathing in large volumes of dust. Now that's in the dry season. Wet season might be different, but then if it's wet season, you're going to need a lot more rain gear. But yeah, if you're in the summer and the dust, you're going to need something to cover your mouth and nose. Even with covering my mouth and nose, I was finding dust everywhere, you know, in terms of my nose, clogged up. So it's nothing you can do, but if you have a buff, absolutely fantastic. This also then serves for around the neck, so to keep you warm as well. So just a couple of items to make sure that you're more comfortable and warm. In terms then of feet, I brought sock liners. These are smart wool. Really good if just for preventing blisters. So I didn't know how we were going to go on the blister front, but liners important if you are developing blisters. It can ease those, and also it's another layer as well for some at night. When it came to socks, I had 3 just normal hiking socks. These are the socks I use for all my hikes. So I just brought 1 per 3 days again, so just changed them every 3 days. The addition to that was 1 smart wool very warm pair of socks. So these were mountain socks from Smart Wool, extra warm, wore these on Summit night. And then I had my camp socks. So these were a pair of wool socks from Killarney, Ireland, and they were just amazing, just for sleeping in the tent. Kept everything really warm. So you need a mixture of socks. I just brought those socks, worked really well for me. In terms then of hands, again we had 2 pairs of gloves, but I brought glove liners, and those just when it got slightly cold or on Summit night, I had an extra layer underneath. When it came to gloves themselves, I had a light pair of Smart Wool gloves, so just a light pair. Used those around camp. And then when we got to Summit night, I had a thicker pair. These are Black Diamond gloves. Main principle is just make sure that they're warm. It will be really cold on Summit night, no matter what you're wearing. So figure is very important. You want to make sure that you're protecting your hands. So a light pair and a heavy pair was perfect for myself. Now, when it came to shoes then, these were the boots that I used. These are Innovate Rock Lights, absolutely fantastic, all around Ireland with me. Nice grip. They're also pretty light, so they're not like a hiking boot. They're kind of halfway between a hiking boot and a trail shoe, but it does have the ankle support on them, so really good. For camp, it was quite cold at camp in the nights, so I took just a pair of trail shoes. These are Columbia, so just something to wear, and it just meant that you had something to change out of your hiking boots, and they were comfortable and kept your toes warm. You could have taken sandals, things like that, something a bit more with a lot more air, but I think it was too cold, you know, having sandals or something of that nature. So you know, an extra pair of shoes or light shoes. That was the route I went down. Gaiters, again, I wouldn't change those. These are just a pair of ankle gaiters, Gore-Tex, and they just go around your ankle. Again, the dust is horrendous, so your boots, everything's going to get really dusty. So a nice pair of gaiters kept extra stones, sticks, things like that out of your boots, especially on summit night. As we were coming down summit night, there was so much scree. It was like a ski slope. So a pair of gaiters, small ankle gaiters, will do the job. I would definitely take those again. The only other thing when it comes to shoes is I took a bag just for my camp shoes. Because there's so much dust, this was really good. So you basically just pop your shoes in there, keeps all the dust in here so that it's not spreading through your duffel bag. So that was a really handy item, because dust starts to get everywhere as the week goes on, so you want to keep everything as dust free as possible. So that's feet, hands, and head. The only other thing I would mention is sunglasses. So with me wearing glasses already, I don't wear sunglasses that often, so there was very few occasions that I would wear these because they're just a hassle, but everybody else in the group pretty much was wearing sunglasses all the time. These are really good here. These glasses actually fit over your glasses, so they're a pair to go over your glasses. So these are really good, you know, rather than messing around with prescription sunglasses, things like that. These are big enough to go right over your own glasses. So I would recommend those if anybody needs glasses. They do come around the sides as well. So yeah, when we got to the top, the sun was quite bright. I most days just went with my normal glasses. There was a few occasions that it was really bright and I had these. So yeah, anybody who wears glasses, pick up a pair of those. Gone are the days where you have to get prescription sunglasses and switch between the two and all that sort of thing. So yeah, really good on those. Next up is water and snacks. I decided to take 2 Nalgene bottles, 1 litres. I didn't take a water bladder. That's going to be quite controversial. All of the guide companies talk about water bladders. Everybody in my group had water bladders. I didn't have a water bladder. I just stuck with 2 Nalgene bottles. So it worked perfect, absolutely no issues. Basically every day during the hike I had 2 litres of water to drink. You do have to manage it a wee bit better though in terms of filling up, because you only have 2 litre capacity. So every morning I just had to be vigilant to make sure that my water was filled up, making sure I got a litre of water in me before we start off, before breakfast. And then somebody in the guide company would fill the water bottles, so you could have as much water as you wanted, which was great. So you just had to make sure that you got water in you before the hike. You then had 2 litres during the hike. Make sure then you're straight on getting your water filled up again. Get more water into you in the afternoon and more water water in the evening. So with less capacity just came with a bit more management, but it can be done. On then summit night, then I only had to worry about Nalgene bottles rather than any bladders freezing or anything of that nature. So can be done with water bottles. I didn't take a water bladder, so that's what worked for me. With the water then, I did have electrolyte powders. These are SOS. These are made they're made in the UK, and they come in different flavors. So I popped two to three of these sachets into the water bottles every time they were filled up. Really good. You are sweating. It's not a case that because it's cold you're not sweating, because you are walking 5-6 hours every single day. So you want to make sure that you're getting your electrolytes topped up. Didn't do me any harm. I made it to the top, so every little part of that, who knows? But yeah, get some electrolyte tablets, especially when you are starting to fade. The acclimatization is happening. The altitude is starting to kick in. You know, those extra wee bit energies all are great help. In terms then of snacks, I didn't eat a lot of snacks. The food on the mountain was absolutely fantastic by our guide company. Also, our guide company, the chef would hand out some snacks before we'd head off every day. So you would have some chocolate bars, there would be maybe some fruits, things like that. So I didn't end up eating a lot of the snacks that I took. The snacks I did take were, I took some Cliff blocks, and I did have some of these and handed them around to some of the guys in the group when we stopped for breaks. I also had some goo gels. I didn't use any of these. Didn't take any of these. I did have in my mind that if the altitude sickness kicked in really hard, that you know, you could lose your breakfast one day or something of that nature. So you might need to top yourself up, but there was nothing like that. All of the acclimatization was perfect, so I didn't actually need these, but I had them just in case. And then I had some just candy jelly babies, just as a pick-me-up. Again, didn't need too many of those. And then just some gum, just my favorite gum. Had a couple of sticks of that then. So all in all, I didn't have that many snacks. It was very, very few. Water, the electrolyte tablets, I used those every single day. So that's pretty much how I managed the water. And as I say, not many snacks were had. Another big topic causing a lot of stress out there is hygiene and first aid. So what do we need for that? Well, this was everything that I took. When it came to hygiene, I did bring this bag really to keep everything in. So it's one of a roll that sort of rolls out. All of these wee compartments, but it just rolls up nicely, keeps everything together. So would recommend something to put your hygiene in rather than just everything being in amongst everything in the duffel bag. So things that we took were, I had 3 mini flannels just for washing. We were provided with hot water every day, so there was a bowl of hot water you could get in the morning time or the evening time. So I did do my best to get a bit of a wash every day. So 3 mini flannels, one for face, one for top half of the body, one for bottom half of the body. Those worked perfectly. To go along with that was a mini microfiber towel, again just to dry off. On top of that then, I used soap. I took a small soap. This is one still in the box, but the one that I did use is in here. This is a cover for soap. It's a waterproof cover. So again, you can use it, pop the soap in, and it doesn't go everywhere. So just unfolds, and then you've got your soap in there. So again, really handy. Keeps the wet soap away from everything else. So I used that with the flannels. On top of that then, I did have some wet wipes, so some dude wipes for the guys. Really good, these are the big ones. One pack of these has 48, I think, in it. So yeah, in the times it was too cold to get a bit of a wash. We had wet wipes, so yeah, do take those. On top of that then, teeth. So for my teeth then, I had a small travel toothbrush, small toothpaste, and a wee bit of floss. These travel toothbrushes, really good. Just pops out, connects, there we go. Not the most sturdy in the world, so they do disconnect a lot, so you kind of have to get a bit of a grip on it. But at 6 a.m. in the morning in the pitch dark, or 8 o'clock in the evening in the pitch dark, you're really just getting your teeth washed before you crawl into your sleeping bag. So yeah, so really good. Made sure the teeth were cleaned. On top of that then we had sun cream and lip balm. So sun cream and lip balm. This is Mountain sun cream from Life Systems. It's factor 50. So again, depending on what part of the world you come from, plan accordingly, but I went for the factor 50 and I don't regret that whatsoever. No sunburn. On top of that then, bit of deodorant, so just bit of deodorant. So word of advice just on the sun cream and the deodorant, you can get these with the roller ball in them. Don't go for anything with a roller ball. The roller ball will pop out at high altitude, so as you go up, the roller ball will pop out. Even this cream, when I would take the top off, as we went up, you would find that it would start to gush out for a couple of seconds as the pressure was getting higher, so you didn't have to actually squeeze it. But if there was a roller ball on these, it would have popped out. So this is just one of the stick ones with no roller ball on the deodorant. On top of that then, tissues, coming back to the dust, you basically are going to get clogged up with dust, so you need a way to just unclog yourself. I also had, from the dust point of view, a small nail brush. So as your hands get sticky with sun cream, pretty much you're going to be eating as well. There's dust everywhere, so your nails are going to get really clogged up with dust. So I'm really thankful I had that, just a wee mini travel one, just to tidy myself up. So the other thing that you're going to be putting on your hands is hand sanitizer. So as we progress in the hiking every day, you're gonna, especially when you're drinking lots of water, you're gonna have to go to the bathroom. So rather than going to the bathroom and then just continuing on, I took a wee bit of hand sanitizer just to make sure we're staying healthy, to kill any bacteria. The other thing then, which I didn't need, is toilet paper. So I did take some toilet tissue. This is camping tissue of Coughlin's, and there's no roll in the middle. So I did have these for emergencies. Thankfully, I didn't need this during the hiking day. Toilet roll was available at the camps, so we were all given a toilet roll before we started, and there was toilet roll in the toilet tents. So I didn't actually need this between camps, but I would say, you have to judge yourself. I basically only needed hand sanitizer for bathroom stops on the way. So that's pretty much what I used for hygiene. On top of warm water, I was able to get a good wash every day. At no point never felt that it was a bit grubby or anything like that. All of these items were perfect. I think it's important just to get a good bit of soap, just soap and warm water, and just give yourself a good wash. Again, bring a couple of flannels, micro towel, wet wipes if you want to do a wet wipe wash. Just keep yourself in good spirits. It's good for morale as well. In terms of the first aid side of things, I've got my first aid bag. Take this everywhere. Didn't have too much in the first aid. It was pretty much these items here. I had some antiseptic cream. I had some painkillers. So that was ibuprofen painkillers. I had a couple of alcohol wipes, cleansing wipes. Luco tape, absolutely fantastic. So anybody who has done long hikes will know Luco tape's very important, because you can put it around your toes. And as the miles started to increase and the time started to increase, I was starting to get hot spots on my feet. So all in, you're on your feet about 50 hours and you're putting in about 40 miles on the 8-day Limosha route. So things needed to be attended to as I was going along. Nothing major, but there was a few hot spots here and there, so I was able to rectify it with those. I would say if you are using Luco tape, invest in a small fold-up scissors. So really good, they just fold up. Reason why I say that is Luco tape's very easy to put on, but when you are cold, tired, at altitude, you have to get it off. So rather than worrying about it, just a few snips, there it comes off, fantastic. So we fold up scissors, really good. The other thing that I have then is just a wee Ziploc bag, and we had blister plasters in there, just normal plasters in there as well. The only thing that happened other than the blisters was I did graze one of my fingers at some point, just a small graze. You've got a lot of down hills as well as up hills on the hike, and you're going to be holding on to branches and rocks and barranco wall. It's all rock. So I grazed my finger just briefly on something. So when we got to camp, it was fairly simple. A nice wee clean with one of the wipes, a wee bit of antiseptic cream, pop on a plaster, good to go. Yeah, so just take a few wee bits and pieces just for minor grazes. The guides will have more serious first aid kits, but for yourself, just your own personal care, Luco tape for your blisters and odd grazes and cuts, really, if you do get anything like that, and painkillers as well if you're not feeling good as well. So the final thing to mention is I did take Diamox, which is altitude sickness medication. So I started this one day before I started the hike and took it all the way right up to summit night, and no issues whatsoever, no symptoms, no problems. I did get it on prescription, so it is available through Boots Travel Clinic, which is in the UK and Ireland. So they ask you loads of questions about your medical history, etc., and then they prescribe it. So I would say go down your proper channels, get proper medical advice for it. If you don't want to be mixing it with any other medication, I'm not on any other types of medication. So yeah, so I did take that, but just be sensible based on your own health. But I wouldn't change it. I would still take this, and I had no symptoms on it. So. Right, we're on to electronics and some specific items that I had in my tent. So the first thing to mention is I did take a camping pillow. So it's a Trekology, and I can't overemphasize how much a camping pillow improves your sleep. So it was really just a blow up one, and I folded down very tightly. Really good. Also, when it comes to sleeping bags, I decided to rent one from the guide company. So my thought was, well, it'll save me space in my luggage, and they know what they're doing, so it should be the right specification, and it was. Very good sleeping bag. One point though is to make sure that it stays within your duffel bag allowance. So that the sleeping bag had to be within the 15 kilograms that I had to stick to. So make sure you find out what the weight of it's going to be beforehand, and then judge the rest of your kit accordingly. They also provided a sleeping mat as well. Others in my group took blow-up sleeping mats. I didn't. I just went with the sleeping bag and the mat that was provided, and just added on the pillow. Other things that I had then in my tent were a lantern, just a tiny lantern. So this is really good just for in the evening time or the morning time whenever we're getting our kit organized, because it was dark. It was pitch dark in the evening and early morning before we had breakfast. So you're pretty much trying to do everything in the dark unless you had a light on your phone or some other means. So I just had this lantern in the tent, which is great. I did have my small camping clothesline, which was able to dry some clothes out every day. This is really good. It just has 2 hooks, and it just packs down really light, so I would recommend that because there were loops inside the tent, which I was glad to see, but they might not always be there. I also have my map as well, so it's very difficult to locate a map, but I did find one, and it was just great to see where we were going every day, where we came from, what the terrain was looking like. So I was able to pick up a Kilimanjaro map. The other thing I would say for your tent then is I took a sleep mask, so just a sleep mask and some earplugs. So on summit day, you will have to try to get some sleep during the day. The tents are very, very noisy because there's other groups. The camp porters and the chefs, etc., they're all busy. You know, they're not sleeping. They're getting everything organized. So it's really, really difficult to get some sleep. And then there's other days as well where you just want to go for a nap. So again, you can block out the bright sunshine, the noise. So I would take those again. I did use those and I did fall asleep with those. So really good. Now, in terms then of electronics then, so the basic electronics was my phone, just my phone. You will need a headlamp. This headlamp is Black Diamond, and it works with physical batteries, so it's not one that's charged up. It's an actual physical battery one. That meant I didn't have to worry about was it charged up enough. It takes 3 small batteries. So what I did was I took 6 batteries. So 3 batteries for the first number of days, because you're using a headlamp at night when it's dark. If you have to leave the tent, maybe go to the bathroom tent, and also there and back to the food tent. But then I kept 3 batteries specific for summit night, so they weren't used until summit night, and they lasted. By the time summit night came around, it was 6 hours in the dark before the sun came up, and they lasted no problem at all, no issues. There was loads of charge still left. So 6 batteries, headlamp that takes physical batteries. I wouldn't change that, but if you have a rechargeable one, then make sure it's charged up and it takes a charge for 6 hours, because you're going to spend that on summit night. The other bits and pieces I had then were a battery bank. So this is a Belkin battery bank, and I charged pretty much everything off that. My phone, my GoPro, so I did have a GoPro with me for all of the footage, but this was a 27,500 milliamps one, so this is the biggest one I could get on a plane without needing a permission. So I had that. And then very important then was all of the cables then. So I had all these wee mini cables to connect phone, connect everything up if I needed to charge anything. So make sure you've got your cables with you. I had a GoPro, some spare batteries. I also had a memory card as well, spare one of those just in case anything happened. And then the final thing then is I had a Garmin InReach Mini, and that was really just for family, friends to just sort of keep an eye of where I was. They were able to track my progress as we went along. I was able to send some messages to say I'm doing okay. There's very little signal on the mountain, and you can start investigating local networks and SIM cards and things like that. I just decided I'm not getting into all of that. I just took my Garmin InReach Mini, and I was able to send a few messages, and everybody could track that it was safe and sound progressing across the mountain. What I would say though is do take a couple of these waterproof bags as well. So I took a couple of these waterproof bags to put these things in, because again, with water gets into these things, then nothing's going to work. So I took a couple of waterproof bags to shield everything. I also took a phone cover as well for the coldness. Don't know if that made a difference. I did keep my phone pretty close to me in my sleeping bag every night, but I did put it in this on occasion just when it was really cold. So again, you got to think about electronics, water, cold, keep everything nice and safe. So yeah, so that's the electronics and a few items to make tent life a wee bit more manageable. So after 6 days of hiking, you will reach summit night. So just to mention what I wore throughout the days. So in terms of the days, They were exactly the same. I had a short sleeve t-shirt with a long sleeve hooded base layer on top. That's pretty much how I hiked, with just my hiking trousers on the bottom. And then sun hat on the top. Before the sun came up though, I had my fleeces to keep me warm, but those quickly went into the day pack, and pretty much every day was exactly the same. Now, when we get to summit night, that causes the most stress for everybody. So everybody's thinking about layers, and really the main thing is you want to be testing these things out before you go. Before you go to Tanzania, you want to make sure that everything fits nicely over everything, because you need to have multiple layers to keep you warm. So in terms of myself, my summit night on the bottom half of my legs, I had pretty much 3 layers. So I had my underwear, which was great. I then had 3 layers. So I had a thermal layer, a base layer, long leg, right to my ankles. So that was great, keeping me warm. I then had my hiking trousers on top of that. And then I had my rain trousers on top of that, and they were great for keeping the wind out. So with those 3 layers on the bottom, that was fantastic. Some people maybe take a heavier hiking trouser, but just by adding the thermal layer underneath and the rain trouser on top, those 3 layers were perfect for me on the bottom. So when it came to the top, I then had multiple layers to keep me warm. So again, I had my thermal layer, which was long sleeved, so thermal base layer. I then had a couple of the daytime base layers on. So I had a short sleeve t-shirt on, and then the long sleeve hood on top of that. So that was pretty much my base layer. So there was pretty much 3 layers there before we start, or 2. I then had my 2 fleeces. So I had my light fleece and my heavier fleece. Again, really important to check that these 2 fit and they're not, they're not too small. You want to make sure that they're slightly different sizes, so that one goes over the top. So pretty much I had those 2, and then on the top, then to keep the wind out, I then had my raincoat, which pretty much went over everything else. So effectively you had 3 layers, base layers, 2 fleeces, and then the raincoat. So all of that was six layers. That was my 6 layers on my top. And then as a backup, very important that you have a backup, then was my down jacket. So your down jacket goes over your raincoat. It doesn't have to go under your raincoat. It's pretty much an extra layer that's going to go over everything else. So again, it needs to be adequate size to fit around everything. So I didn't use my down jacket on summit night. I had it in my day pack as a spare layer should I need it, but I didn't need it. All of the other layers that I had on did their job. Always good to have it if you need it, because if you don't have it and you do need it, it's going to be a miserable night, very, very cold. So make sure all of your layers, I went sort of top heavy on the base layers, a couple of fleeces, raincoat, and then a spare down jacket. So that's what I had then, top and bottom. Then underneath that then, in terms of feet, we had our liner socks and our wool socks just for my feet. My head then, I had my woolly hat, my buff around for my neck, and I also had my balaclava on then at this point, which was great. Also on top of that, with the hooded base layer and your rain jacket, you also have another 2 hoods, and if your down jacket has another hood on top of that, and you do use your down jacket, then you've got 3 hoods. So that's how you can multiply the layers then on your head. I didn't need that many layers, but again, it's good to have options. On my hands then, we had the liner gloves and then the thicker gloves for my hands. So pretty much when it comes to Summit night, think what works, make sure you test it, make sure it all fits, make sure you're warm, and also I would say go hiking in everything, just to make sure you learn where all the zips are, where all the pockets are, you know, where all the various features are, and if it works for you. In terms of summit night, then I had 2 other additional pieces of equipment. The first thing was one of these below 40 Nalgene bottle insulators. So I did use one of these. So basically it just works for your Nalgene bottle, keeps everything nice and warm, and the recommended advice is to have one of your bottles upside down because it will freeze at the top and then you've got access to water. I will say the one that was in this, there was no ice whatsoever. There was no pieces of floating ice in this bottle. It was freezing cold to drink, but I will say this bottle of water stayed completely ice free. So yeah, I don't know if that's the climate or the temperature in August, but I took it anyway. It's pretty small, and it meant that if it did work, then I had a full litre of drinkable water. The second thing is, we haven't mentioned up to now, is hiking poles. So I rarely use the hiking poles during the day, all of the other days, but I did use hiking poles on the descent of Summit Day. The descent of Summit Day is horrendous. It's pretty much a scree ski slope. So you're effectively digging into this scree, pretty much skiing down it. All of that elevation that you went up over 6 hours at night, you can now see far into the distance and see how much descent you have to come back down. So I did use hiking poles, and I was thankful that I had them in my day pack for that night, because it was very slippy. A lot of people sliding, a lot of people slipping. Hiking poles I would fully recommend, especially for the descent. If you don't need them for the previous 5-6 days, no problem. I didn't use them that often, but on the summit descent I definitely did, because it is just 15 degrees down scree. So you're going to need something to steady yourself, especially after you've been up all night. You haven't had very much sleep. You have pretty much been going for 6 hours, and also with the altitude, your oxygen levels are slightly decreased. So concentration might be gone at that stage. Your stamina might be gone. Your endurance, everything is exhausted. One slip could be a disaster. So take some hiking poles and go slow and steady on the descent. So yeah, that's what I took on summit night, with those a few additional bits of equipment. So yeah, find out what works for you and put it all together. So hopefully that's been useful. That's the kit list that got me to the top of Africa, Kilimanjaro, and it was all pretty successful. I wouldn't change very much about the list. It all worked perfectly in terms of all areas, tent life, hydration, clothes layering, everything was perfect. So everybody's needs are going to be different. So have a think about what you need. But hopefully you've got some hints and tips and a few things to think about. And thanks for watching.